Hi everyone, it's Lee here. Welcome back to my channel and a big warm welcome to anyone who's here for the first time. So I hope you enjoy the video and that if you're not subscribed to my channel that you'll enjoy the content and will subscribe. That'd be lovely. We're doing Dephemerember and today is the 11th of December and the prompt for today is Halloween meets Christmas. So I'll just show you a little recap of what I've done so far. Okay, so that was day one. So that was my flip with the multiple pockets and a butterfly and 3 torn things was the prompt for that day. Day 2 was the salvaged birds. Day 3 was the shaker envelope. The selfie in a bubble was the prompt for that day. Day 4 was clocks and wings, and I made this. I absolutely love this. So I'm going to use this piece here, this page, because it's got an orange tinge to it. I'm not sure if the camera is picking that up. I went through the box of stuff that Di sent me and gathered up some things that I thought could be Christmassy or made Christmassy. So I'm going to use the envelope Di sent all the goodies in. I've cut it down to size and I'm going to make that into a pocket. I'm going to decorate it with some of that tissue that you can see just off to the right hand side. So that'll be on the opening where the white is there. And then I'm going to use some of the lovely orange, black and gold fabric with the Christmas trees on it to make a pocket on the outside of that. And I'm also going to make a giant tag to go inside the pocket. So with the pocket on the front, the little fabric one, I stitched that on and then stitched around the bottom part of the envelope, the front of it. And now I'm just gluing on some of that lovely tissue or paper napkin to cover over that white. I had a bit of a break overnight. Well, I wasn't intending to have a break overnight, but I thought I'd give my brain a rest because things weren't working out the way I wanted them to, and I ended up deleting a whole heap of footage and chucking what I had actually made apart from this thing. And anyway, I thought, well, I'm going to sit down with a cuppa and I'm going to watch Louisa and Barbara's videos. Anyway, I was watching Barbara's video. I only just started it and my husband came home, and as he walked in the door he said something. He started talking to me and I sort of turned away to speak from the TV to speak to him, and the next thing I know I'm hearing my voice. I turned back to the television because I like to watch these videos on TV, and Barbara, bless her soul, had featured my channel or my Effie creation on her channel. So what she had shown everybody was my Effie ephemera storage. My Effie with the cork hat. So I made this, it's not very practical but it's super cute. 1, 2 pockets and a pouch, and he's got corks on his hat because he's in Australia and he needs those corks to keep the flies off his face. So that was just such a thrill. I nearly got whiplash when I turned back to the TV to see why my voice was on one of Barbara's videos, and I'm ever so grateful to Barbara for doing that for me. I actually have a few more friends that I didn't have before. Some people who have come to the channel and subscribed, which I'm super grateful for. You never know how much gratitude I have to Barbara for doing that for me. Little YouTubers like us, we put a lot of work into our videos. Sometimes they don't get very many views because YouTube doesn't suggest them, I think is the word. But since Barbara did that, it's brought a little bit of attention to my channel and I've got a few more subscribers, and yeah, so that's a big thank you to Barbara for sharing my little Effie, and yeah, really appreciate it. Anyway, back to today's problem. let's do a bit of stenciling on this. I'm going to make a big journal card or a tag, and I'm going to put it in here, but I've also got a pocket in here. What I'm going to put on the tag is a Christmas tree. So I'm going to do a fairly big tag, and then I'm going to put a Christmas tree that is a Halloween Christmas tree on it. So I need to get this envelope finished, so I thought the stenciling would be a good idea. So anybody who's came over to my channel after watching Barbara, I hope you find lots of videos to keep you interested and keep you coming back. I'm no expert in any way, shape or form, but I'll have a go at anything. I should take that off there, shouldn't I? I love to experiment, and Louisa is one of my favourite YouTubers, Barbara of course, but Louisa has heavily influenced how I go about my mixed media practice, I guess you'd call it. So she's responsible for a lot of what I do and the ideas that I get, and as I said, I like to experiment, try new techniques. Sometimes they don't work out. Another thing I like to do in my videos is to keep it real, basically. If something doesn't go right, what's the point of cutting out all that footage if you actually fix it up? I put my hand up and say I have cut out a lot of footage from this video, but that's because I'm not going to go ahead with what I was working on. So if it was still something that I was going to go ahead with, I would show you all that footage and how I overcame the problem, because that's how you learn, isn't it? I think that looks nice now, and I'm just going to go this way across here. Yeah, so if you're watching one of my videos and you think, what on earth is she doing? You don't do it that way, you should have done that, you should have done something else, and just stay tuned, because you never know what's going to come up. Alright, I think that's enough. That definitely looks better to me. What do you reckon? I think it looks heaps better. So I'm going to put some of this, which is vintage photo, around the edge of the envelope. So I hope everybody is really well, and have you got big plans for Christmas? Or are you going to have a quiet one like I am? I reckon a bit of this would look nice on there now. So I decided to punch out the flowers and the orange bit there that I really liked. Arranged them, well, 3 of them, onto the page, onto the envelope. Then I used my Stabilo pencil to go around the outside of them once I've glued them down, and also went around the edge of the envelope to give that a bit of impact. So I'm going to make my tag out of from a piece of watercolour paper, so it's smooth on one side, got a bit of Stabilo crumb on there, and sort of smooth on one side, and the tag will be the height of the page, which is 8 1/4, and I'm going to make it about 5.5 inches wide, so that'll be 14 centimeters. So I've cut down my piece of watercolor paper, trimmed off the corners to make it into a tag, and now I'm going to use some of the scraps that Di sent me to collage the front of the card. Now, what I want to do with this now that it's dry, as I said, was to put some gesso over it, but I also want to stitch around the edge of it. And because I want to put this piece of paper on the back for writing on, I'll glue that on first so it gets stitched as well. Okay, so that's stitched onto the back there, and now I'm going to just go around with the ink pad straight onto the edge of the card with this rusty hinge. So I got my water bottle out and sprayed around the edge in the hope of getting some of that ink to run a bit. It didn't up the top because I printed that freebie on photographic paper, so once I put the ink on, it wasn't going anywhere up there. But anyway, the rest of it worked. And I'm just using an old card to scrape some gesso over the front of the tag. And I've had a thought about what I'm going to do to make it even more Halloweeny. So there's my template of my Christmas tree. But this man, which is a Tim Holtz paper doll, he's holding a cat. And I thought, if I'm going to colour the cat in somehow, make it a black cat, and I'm going to have a black Christmas tree as well. So I'm just using my black gesso to colour the tree and my finger. This gesso is really old and it's quite gummy, so I had to use the brayer to spread it out because the little brush wasn't working. So I finished gessoing the tree, made it black, and then I had this idea about putting some texture onto the front of the tree, make it the leaves. So I've got this stencil that's a leafy pattern, and I'm applying some texture paste all over the tree. And when I get all that paste on, I have this, what I thought was a great idea. And I got some embossing powder. Now, I don't have any real orange coloured embossing powder, so I choose a gold one. And, well, it's actually not gold, it's called Peridot, so it's got a green tinge to it. So I sprinkle that all over the stencil, pushing it into the texture paste, and then remove the stencil, and it looks really great, doesn't it? But it's not Halloweeny anymore. And also, there is embossing powder on the card where I didn't want it. So I tried my best to blow as much of it off and then put it aside to dry while I worked on something else. The next thing I do is using a thick Sharpie, a black one, I colour in the cat. So I made these little orange coffins to hang on the Halloween Christmas tree. And how I made them was from these little wooden shapes. They're like a hexagon, and I just cut the sides a bit so that they look coffin shaped. And then I dunked them in some rusty hinge ink, and then on the outside, along the edge of them, I give them a black outline with some black soot distress oxide. So they'll be ready to hang on my Halloween Christmas tree. Now I decided that my man needed a family to go with him, so I picked out the creepiest paper dolls I could find, and then coloured them with the rusty hinge ink and wiped off the excess. And I'm going to arrange these creepy people in front of my Halloween Christmas tree. So I'm just arranging them in a way that I thought would look nice in front of the tree. Something like that. Now I'm going to put my Christmas tree over on the right hand side of this card, and I don't know what I'm pointing out there, but anyway, I'm going to put it over here and then trim off the extra leaves. So bit by bit my Christmas tree is starting to disappear, and I'm just applying some gold gilding paste to the branches, just to give it what I thought would be a nice look. And I'm not sure why I did the ones on the right hand side, because, well, they just get cut off, don't they? So that was a waste. So that's done, and now I'm going to glue my tree onto my card. I'm going to use this Aleene's tacky glue because I know it's nice and strong, and there's lots of paste and paint and gesso and all sorts of layers of paper that's already on that card. So this glue is going to be perfect for holding this tree in place. So I'm going to put an eyelet in the top of the tag. So I'm using my crocodile to insert the eyelet, and later on I'll put some orange fabric through that as a tie. And I've worked out where I want my little coffins to go in relation to where the people are going to be standing. There's not much point putting a coffin behind one of the people, so I've arranged them in such a way that none of the people cover them. And then I'm going to use the Aleene's glue again to stick them down. Oh, this one I thought wasn't orange enough, so I dunked it in the ink again. Now I'm happy with how the people look standing next to the Christmas tree, Christmas Halloween tree. And then I decide to add another element of texture to that. And I've got a piece of tulle that I spread some black gesso on. And I've decided that I'll put that over the tree and across the tag. So I stitch that on. And that's what it looks like at the moment. So just going to trim off the excess, leaving a little bit of raggy tulle sticking off the edge. And then I splatter some white gesso onto the tag before I actually add the people onto it. And of course, if you've got white splatters, you've got to have gold splatters in my little world. So I put some gold watercolour splatters on that as well. And then I put the tag aside to dry. And I did also give the same treatment to those die cut circly flower things, but in the end I didn't use them. I made some journal cards from a couple of scraps that Di sent, stitched around them and then coloured them with the rusty hinge. Cutting a piece of that orange fabric up so I can use it as a tie. And I also make a little bow for the girl's head, and I pop a bow on top of her head as well when I do glue the family on. So I'm arranging the family and then gluing them together so they stay in place. I end up putting the little girl sort of behind her dad a bit, like she might be a little bit shy, so she's just peeping out from behind her father. And it's at this point that I realise I can't see my Christmas tree. So I do end up cutting away some of that tulle just so it can be seen a bit better. And I go over the edge of it with, along the side of it with a distress crayon. And I think it was weathered wood, the colour I used, not 100% sure. And trying to make it lift out a little bit, but it mostly is really not visible. And doesn't she look cute with that great big orange bow on top of her head? Very Halloweeny. Now I've got the envelope back again, and I've decided that I want to add another element to the front of it, and I'm just gluing this old man on. He looks a little bit like somebody that maybe would frighten a child at Halloween time, or perhaps he's just the old man who reads the creepy stories or something like that. But anyway, he has an element of Halloween creepiness about him, so I'm going to pop him onto the front of the envelope. I wanted to sew the envelope together, so I'm just auditioning the tag inside the envelope, and I decided I want more of the kids' faces to be showing, so I just chopped off the top, made it a little bit lower, put a thumb notch in that, and then I stitched around it, and I thought maybe if I glue part of that envelope shut, so reduce the size of it so that the card can't go down further, then I'd be able to see more of the kids. Now remember when I told you that I was going to cut some of that black tulle off? Well, I have already done that. Got a white stabilo and I went over the edge of the tree with the white stabilo, and that looked fine. It almost looked like it had snow on it, but the tree was still not standing out from the background the way I wanted it to. So that was when I decided to use the distress crayon to put like a shadow behind it. So you can see the white stabilo is quite effective, but I think it's just the background. The background's just a little bit too busy for that to stand out. I put a little bit of white tulle behind the people and also a scrap off the envelope for them to stand on because they looked like they were floating in midair before. I'm just going to staple them on rather than glue them, but I do have to glue down the dad's head. Now here I've got my stabilo and I'm just putting a shadow under their feet. Now I've put the tag inside the envelope and I've just marked where I want the bottom of the tag to come down to, and then run some glue across the bottom. So that's going to stop that tag from dropping right to the bottom of the envelope. Now I decide that I want to add one more element to this tag to make it even more Halloweeny. So I split apart the dad's head and I've got that little bat which I push down in between the layers, and now he's a Batman. So he's very Halloweeny. Now of course I decide that I want to put some more splatters on this card, and I'm covering up their little faces, and I've got some black drawing ink there, so I'm going to use that to put some black splatters on my card. So I'm going to keep them all to the left hand side. And then I'm going to add some white splatters over the top of that. Oh, and some gold splatters too, some gold watercolour of course, just to finish it off nicely. I've got my page now and I'm going to glue down my envelope, which I have actually sewn shut. So this doesn't need to be a pocket behind it, so there's already two pockets on the card. So I've got the little orange and black cloth pocket at the front, and then the pocket with the thumb notch in it behind. And I'm just going to put some stabilo around the edge of the page before I go any further, using my ruler to help me keep it nice and straight. Just notice my stabilo pencil is almost needing to be sharpened again, so I'm hoping that I can get enough out of it to do this little procedure, and yes, it just makes it. So I love the way the stabilo looks around the edge of the page. It just finishes everything off nicely. So happy with everything so far. So I've mashed up Christmas and Halloween together and created Hello Mass. So I'm just making a couple of labels I want to put on my page. I've put my little journaling cards into the pockets, and I've decided that I don't want that tag to be in the pocket. So what am I going to do with it? Well, I put a couple of eyelets in it, and I'm going to make it as a little separate page that goes over the top of the actual pocket. Can you see Effie in the background there? How cute does he look? I put a little orange ribbon on his head too, so he didn't feel left out. I'm loving this combination of colours. orange and black and white. I think it just looks so good together. So I've got my journal out and I'm going to pop that page in and I'll show you how it looks. So I'm going to put the page in first and then I'm putting the tag in over the top. I love this. Oh, another thing that I put in that I didn't mention was the 31 and 25 on the page. So 31 for Halloween and 25 for Christmas. So there it is, Halloween meets Christmas. Let me know what you think. I absolutely love this, and it's the colours that really do it for me, because I love orange and black together. I think they're just perfect. So I have my creepy family on their tag in front of their black Christmas tree with little orange coffins on it. Let me know what you think of it. I love it when you leave a comment. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And we'll see you in the next video. And the prompt for that day, for the 12th of December, is kintsugi houses. So I'm really looking forward to that. So take care, everybody. Hope you enjoy your crafting experience. I hope I've inspired you. And I'll see you in the next video. Hugs and cheers from Australia. Hooroo.